G'day there, welcome back to The Rayside. My name is Hannah, and today I'm going to be giving you my review of episode 8 from season 3 of The Bad Batch. So let's jump straight into this episode. A bit of a slower one in comparison to the season episodes we've had so far. All 7 episodes have been fantastic. This episode took a little bit of a different tone. We had to get some information in this episode, so of course it kind of leveled down a little bit. But we're not going to use the F word of filler because I really, really love this episode. And I'll tell you why. Because it felt so quintessentially Clone Wars to me. A classic adventure. We got to go find the thing, get the information, and come back to, help the ultimate goal and mission of the group, which I really, really loved. Splitting up of the two groups with Wrecker and Hunter and Crosser and Omega, I think was really fitting. And it's kind of been the focus for this season 3. That was how it was in the start. And, we can see these two little groups pairings happening a lot more throughout the season and obviously in this episode. There were some really fantastic moments shared between the whole group, particularly in the early parts of the episode where they get the call from Fee. There's 2 moments from this opening scene that I thought were really, really cool. The 2 things I picked up on. The first one, clearly Crosshair's hand trauma is getting worse and worse, and it's worrying everyone to the point of Hunter saying, "Hey, Omega." And I love how Hunter has to ask Omega, "Hey, could you talk to Crosshair about getting that checked out? We need to know he's okay." I love that. I think we've been noticing that through the episodes, through the weeks of this hand trauma that he's had. It's something to do with the testing that happened on Tantus. There's something wrong with his hand, and we need to find that out. The second thing I really, really loved from this opening scene was when they called Fee. Now, this was a super, super quick line. I didn't actually pick it up on the first watch, but on the rewatch, I picked it up where they were asking her, does she know what M count is? And does she know what that means? And then she makes a reference to Tech, and she mentions how Tech was the data file and had the data mind and not her, which, I mean, a very coupley thing to say. I do ship those two so much. I thought they were so sweet together. But I thought that was a really sweet way to kind of speak about Tech, especially for Fee. I think deep Bad Batch fans really understood that those two would have had a connection, and they definitely alluded to that in season 2. So I just love the sweet little mention of Tech, especially from Fee in this episode. Of course, we go to this kind of in-orbit galactic place that we go with Hunter and Wrecker to find Fennec Shand. Wow, what an amazing bounty hunter she is. I love seeing Fennec Shand on screen at any time, in any show, animation or live action. I think she transfers so well of a character of a bounty hunter. She's got to be, I don't think I think about it enough, but she has to be one of my favorite characters to come out of Disney Star Wars. I think she's so badass. She's so cool, and how she kind of carries herself. What I love is that she isn't following the classic trope of, this badass bounty hunter, makes a friend and then becomes good. She's not really following that line. She kind of, does that later on. You can argue later on in Book of Boba Fett, but talking about Bad Batch, she still has that, there's no good or evil. I'm just in the middle. I'm taking the paycheck, but not even in a brash way. She's just, that's how I want to live. And I kind of respect that. And I think that's kind of really cool about her character, that she isn't really siding with one way. We kind of find that out at the end of the episode as well. But we see Hunter and Wrecker follow Fennec on this trip, this bounty that they need to collect of this mantis guy who has one of the coolest names. They're after this mantis-looking bounty, which I really love. Again, not super crazy to the main plot of the whole show, but it's just one of those missions you have to go on to get some sort of piece of information. And this is all to do with Omega and finding out about M count, which I think in the long run, obviously, is super important. Some great moments of action are exchanged with Hunter and Wrecker, and I love, they're going back to the roots of Wrecker loving to explode things. He loves blowing things up. I love how they're kind of going back to those roots, and Hunter having to do a little bit of scouting and hunting as per his name. Going back to those roots of who they were and that we got to see a lot of in the early season. I liked seeing that in this episode. We don't see that enough. I feel like I would probably mention this in every episode review, but the coloring and lighting of the season is absolutely standout fantastic. It's not even like, oh, it's good. It's like every episode is shockingly good with its coloring and lighting. This planet that they're on, the whole orange tinge of the sky and the fog and the mist and the coloring it does to the characters is so cool. I love it. I love that we're not just going to like, oh, another forest planet and another forest planet. We're going to lots of different textures, colors, environments that I think are really just visually stimulating. Then we jump to the really interesting point of this episode and part of this episode where Omega is exploring with Crosshair, is his tremor not just a physical ailment, maybe more of a psychological ailment of his really PTSD of being with the Empire but also being on Mount Tantus. I think that's a really interesting concept to explore. One I think is so fascinating. And we have this amazing scene. I mean, talk about amazing lighting. We have this amazingly shot scene where they are sitting on the edge and they're looking out to the water and the ocean and they are meditating together. And another great thing that this season is doing is a few little callbacks and not cameos, but just callbacks to things that have been in the past season. Omega mentioning Gungi, being on Kashyyyk, learning about meditation with the Wookiees. I think that was a fantastic nod to, that was a really fun episode last season. And also, in the episode, this was a great moment for Crosshair to realize, wow, she's grown up. And, I've missed a lot. I've missed a lot, not just with Omega, but even with my brothers, even with Hunter and Wrecker. He has missed a lot being with the Empire, and I'm sure that is going to weigh on him. We get to the end of the episode, and all is done. We got the bounty. We got the Mantis guy. Happy days. What is M. Count Fennec? And she doesn't want to reveal it. I think that is so good. It's not just a classic, do the mission, here you go, see you next time. It does feel like we're going to see Fennec Shand again. I think she's going to come back up because she has to go away and find the person that knows M. Count and come back. But once she is out of the hangar and in her own ship, she is seemingly turning on Hunter and Wrecker and the Bad Batch and making contact with someone who might want to know where clones are. Now, it could really go one of two ways. This could be someone helpful. This could be someone like some sort of senator or, someone we actually think will be good for the clones for the Bad Batch to know. Or what I think it most likely will be is someone not so good. It would be someone within the Empire. It could even be Hemlock directly. Or it could be who we've been waiting for, Ventress, because it just, the tone of the conversation sounded very bounty hunter-esque. And I have a feeling it's either going to be Ventress or our blue friend Cad Bane, because those two in the trailer, they're yet to show up in the season, and maybe this is how they get connected into the episode. So a really cool way to end the episode. We're thinking Fennec's all like happy days, helping out our team, and she really is seemingly going behind their back after she leaves that transport. Overall, this is a really light-on episode in terms of kind of weight with the story of the clones. We came off the back of two really crazy episodes with Rex, Wolf, and things exploring with the Clone Rebellion, and I think it's always going to be hard to follow that. But I think the lightness in a way of this episode, I actually really enjoyed. I thought they were going to be doing a bit of a contrasting episode. I love seeing Fennec Shand. I'm never disappointed to see her on screen. So even though it was just a bit of action fun, I loved seeing her in this episode. Overall, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Still really happy with it. I'm going to rewatch it a bunch of times because I think it's really fun. But it's not. It hasn't been the best of this season, obviously. But I think there is so much more to come. If you want to join in all our Bad Batch discussions and content over at the Ray side, we're doing live streams every time the episode drops and the day after for an episode discussion. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to be a part of those live shows and discussions you won't want to miss out. So make sure you always choose the Ray side.